A warm welcome to all participants for taking time to attend today's webinar organized by RealTimme. My name is Winston Tan. I'm a SIATP accredited tax professional and a business associate from RealTimme. I will be the moderator for today's webinar. And we are glad to have with us today Mr. Eddie Ezwan from Accra, Manager for IT, Planning, and Governance. We're also glad to have Ms. Ginger Ong from IRAS. She's a Principal Tax Officer, Corporate Tax Division. Our main speaker for the day will be Mr. Chu Hong Peng. Mr. Chu is a chartered accountant and a co-founder of RealTimme. Mr. Chu is also the team lead for this Accra Irs Seamless Filing project. Before we begin the webinar proper, allow me to say a few things. Because of the limited time we have for this webinar, we cannot take questions relating to accounting or use of accounting software. Okay. Representatives from Accra and IRAS are here to only take questions relating to seamless filing for both Accra and IRAS. If you have any questions, we invite you to post your questions on the Q&A, but to state who you would like the questions to be directed to, whether it's Mr. Chu, Ms. Ginger from IRAS, or Mr. Eddie, so that I can help you direct the questions to them for any answer. But in the event that the questions, they do not have any answers for you, we invite you to write to us on webinar@realtimme.net for subsequent answers to your email questions. So for today's webinar, we will be introducing the concept of seamless filing to the regulatory bodies of Accra and IRAS. I believe most of you are existing users of RealTimme. Today, we announce that RealTimme has reached another important milestone, having been awarded this pilot project to collaborate with Accra and IRAS in developing the route to seamless filing of simplified XBRL financial statements to Accra and seamless filing of the corporate income tax form CS to IRAS beginning from this year of assessment, YA 2020. We therefore encourage you to be the first movers to embark on this journey with RealTimme and to enjoy the benefits for doing seamless filing using the power of RealTimme Cloud Accounting. This is in line with the national effort to go digital for SMEs, to increase work efficiency, and at the same time, be fully compliant on regulatory filings to Accra and IRAS. So without further ado, let me hand over the time for Mr. Chu for the main presentation. Mr. Chu.
Thank you, Winston. I'll be sharing my screen now with for the PowerPoint screen. Right, greetings from RealTimme team. On behalf of the RealTimme team, thank you for taking time off to attend our webinar. Right, I'm going to share some of the new events that is coming out, the background of technology change that is affecting the way we work. Now, the effects of cloud computing and server-to-server communication, and finally, seamless filing. Now, we heard of cloud computing easily 5-6 years back, where it is the buzzword that everybody is talking about. And we actually see that our server is being moved out from our office and into the data center. So as it becomes more and more stable and efficient, business owners are actually looking at cloud computing. And with this thing going on, as more and more people are on board, we find that we are actually able to make servers to communicate with servers by transferring information to and fro. So, and we actually recently we have got web designers who actually take data from our data center, from the database, and actually flash it out to the stakeholders. So that comes about where we are now into seamless filing, where the two agencies, Accra and IRAS, actually want all the filings to be done directly from the software to them. And this is how we have come to this stage of our the work change, right? So this is a graphical presentation of what is going on currently and what we are going to see in the future. As you can see from the left, these are the day-to-day transactions that is coming in and gets fits into the accounting software. As for RealTimme, we actually built the number 2 and number 3 1 year ago, and we are now ready to do the submission, or rather we are allowing our users to do the submission through our modules that we are going to provide the seamless filing. So with this process, you actually get to go into number 4, and from then on, the data will be organized and sent to the respective agency, as what you see on the right-hand side here. Right. The next screen I'm going to show you here is what you are going to see next in our new updates, where the last column of our chart of accounts will be the data ID. What is the data ID? Data IDs are actually the field that is provided by both agencies for us to map your chart of accounts to their data field. Right? In simple layman terms, these are just data fields that we organize them into the way they want us to present, and it will be fixed over here and determined by the data ID as to where each amount goes to, right? So there'll be some changes to your chart of accounts, and just for this presentation purpose, I take out 2 accounts to let you see. Most commonly, you see that remuneration is being put together with the staff and directors. So for this filing purpose, you may need to create another separate director's remuneration away from the staff remuneration. And you can see that on the extreme right column, the data ID is different for staff and directors. And the system will be able to add up all directors' remuneration into one single line and feed back to the agencies, relevant agencies. And another example will be the motor vehicles. So the motor vehicles has got deductible and non-deductible portion. As some of you understand that their private vehicles are non-deductible, and G-plate vehicles, yes, there are some criteria that it can be tax deductible expenses. So if your accounts do not separate this and you have got private motor vehicles, you may need to create new accounts to separate the private and non-private component. So these are the 2 examples. Of course, there are many more, but for this session, I just highlight these 2 very common ones. So for Accra purpose, there are some financial information that users need to fill in, and one of them example here is whether the financial statements are prepared on a going concern basis. So this will be a yes or no answers, which there will be a drop-down box for users to select, right? It has been simplified to a very user-friendly options. And this is another example whereby there are different types of options here, and user, again, you will need to click the drop-down box to select the relevant ones. As for this whole exercise purpose, Accra and IRAS estimated that about 100,000 companies will benefit from these projects. And for RealTimme, we would want to welcome 100 companies to come on board and be the first movers. So what first movers will enjoy? First movers will enjoy special attention where we will assist in the filing process, so that you'll be the first users to experience the seamless filing, and we will provide online training and videos for you to actually get all your things ready for the filing. We have also engaged qualified and experienced consultants to answer your questions to achieve your first year of successful filing. This picture was taken a few months back where Accra organized a seminar and we were one of the participants. I'll pass the rest of these topics, challenges and current filings and benefits of seamless filing to Winston. Winston?
Hi, coming back again, Winston Tan here. I'm just going to talk a little bit. Hong Ping, go back to the previous slide on the,
Right,
yeah,
sure.
okay. Now, as you know, many of us in the tax community prepare our tax computations outside the accounting system, and they are done quite manually, having to check and recheck the numbers again and again to our accounting trial balance and balance sheets or profit and loss accounts. So you can see there's a lot of work going on between your staff and the your tax agent to compile all this information. And then when you come to filing of tax returns, all right, you will then have to re-enter again the same summary numbers that you are actually filling the tax return on e-filing. So e-filing is not equivalent to seamless filing. And from just now, you saw the two slides examples where motor vehicles and director's remuneration, where if your chart of accounts do not split up this amount, I'm sure your staff or your tax agent will have to spend a lot of time trying to reorganize the information so that they can all fit into the way we want to file our tax returns. So going forward, with the collaboration, the co-creation between Accra and IRAS, and we believe that there are some common information that between IRAS and Accra that they will want to make it more simple for the users. That's how this pilot project came about. And then the benefits of seamless filing is a matter of getting used to the way we do our work. All right. To take away all the, I mean, not 100% of all the manual work in preparing the tax computation and preparing the data that we want it to be shown in our tax return. Okay. Going the seamless filing route will certainly help you reduce your staff time to communicate between the tax agents and yourself, and then even the reviewer. All right. Certainly, the number of man hours taken to prepare a tax computation or filing an annual return AR to Accra we try to cut them away. And the other benefit from seamless filing is that you do the first year, subsequent years, certain information that's already stored in the IRAS or Accra, I believe this seamless filing will help populate those areas that are already taken from the past years. But of course, the users will have to review them, like the checkbox yes and no. You have to review them to make sure that your current information is actually reflects the status of the company, like solvent, insolvent, change of directors, or change of shareholders. Uh, it makes the job of the reviewer probably a lot easier to do seamless filing. And also the largest benefit I can see is that going digital, okay, everyone today, you look at the TV, everyone is zooming in on going digital. So this is where RealTimme is coming to help you in collaboration with Accra and IRAS. And of course, with digitization, maybe the first year you may spend a little bit more time getting through seamless filing, but I'm sure subsequent years you will enjoy seamless filing as easy as ABC. And of course, it brings to you the cost benefit of having to get your staff spend so much time in doing an AR or a tax return. So that's all from me, Winston. Back to Hong Peng. Hong Peng, can you hear me?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is our first time doing the webinar, still struggling with the screen. Beg pardon. So I will be sharing some of the criteria that companies will be eligible for this seamless filing. This is taken a screenshot from the Accra website, whereby if you look at the line item ABC, these are companies that has revenue of 500,000 or less in the current financial year, or the total assets of 500,000 or less. Right. The rest I will not elaborate, but briefly, these are the key criteria for companies to be in this exercise. As for IRAS filing, company that qualify for Form CS will be incorporated in Singapore, has an annual revenue of 5 million or below in the preceding financial year, and derives income taxable at prevailing corporate tax rate of 70%, and not claiming or utilizing carryback current year's capital allowances. All this information is available. If you need this, I can send you the link later on, right? Or even we can assess for you whether you fit into this seamless filing exercise at this stage. Of course, at a later time, when there are more, this criteria will change accordingly, where IRAS and Accra will extend this this filing to more bigger organizations. Right. So I thank you for participating this session, and we are now ready for Q&A. If any of the participants has got question, please either you can speak or you can type in your questions
on the chat. Okay,
on the chat.
Q&A.
On the Q&A. There is a button called Q&A. You can click on it, and you can type in your question directing to any of the panelists. We are ready to receive.
Hi, participants. We are ready to receive your Q&A. Anyone with any questions, please type your questions and state who would you like to answer your questions on the Q&A, and I will try to direct them to the appropriate people, our panelists, to help answer your questions. I hope today's short seminar give you an idea of what the future will be coming for seamless filing.
Okay, HP, you don't have paper, you just say, or probably another way, if you prefer, you can just raise your hand, use the raise hand function.
Okay, I've got one question coming in. Does that mean real-time users will be automatically enjoy the new features? I think maybe Hong Peng, you want to answer this question?
Thanks,
Mr.
Yeah. Yes, Johnny, I read your question. The answer is yes. All existing users and those who sign up will actually enjoy the new features without additional cost. They will just need to pay for the subscription fee as shown in the website. It is part of the features that we incorporate inside and no additional cost to the end users. Okay, somebody say can't hear the question. Johnny asked, does this mean real-time users will be automatically enjoy the new features? The answer is yes.
Okay, can you just say got any more questions?
Mr. Ko say can't hear the question.
Yeah,
I
already read out the questions.
All right.
Any other questions coming in from the floor? That's a good question, and yeah, it will be on everybody's head.
Okay. Do you need to apply IRAS and Accra with IRAS and Accra before using?
Maybe I would like to just emphasize on one XBRL. I'm not sure, or a lot of you would have known the term XBRL. XBRL stands for Extensible Business Reporting Language. It's a freely available and global framework for exchanging business information. And that's where, in Accra, right? Maybe I can direct this question to Eddie to help the community understand more about XBRL. Mr. Eddie?
Yeah, Winston.
Yes.
Thanks for the question. I'm not sure if you know, but XBRL has been the way that companies submit financial information to Accra over the past 7 years, I think, since 2013. So XBRL is not something new. It's just the way in which financial information is being submitted and filed through Accra. So yeah, I hope that answers the question, Winston.
Yeah, maybe I would like to add here is that because financial information that is transmitted to Accra, and when people want to know, let's say to do business with a company, they will either go in to do a search of the company information that is widely available. It's something like, may I compare to the similar like our SGX, okay? Listed companies are required to file their annual report with SGX so that investors, shareholders, or stakeholders will be able to get the information that is publicly available. So hopefully that gives the reason why we have this standard XBRL filing, and it's a standard where every company does the same thing. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, Yeah.
Sorry, Winston, I read questions from Johnny Lai. Johnny asked this question: do we need to apply to IRAS and Accra before using the features? Thank you, Johnny, for the questions. The answer is no, because we are already a pilot project. We are so-called being appointed by IRAS. There are 5 software companies. We are appointed by IRAS to do the seamless filing. So if you subscribe to RealTimme Cloud, you submit your AR and your corporate tax through RealTimme, they will know that the source will be from RealTimme software. So the answer is no, you don't have to apply.
Hong Peng, you want to take the next question? Is that
yes,
the mapping?
Yes, I hope I answered Johnny's questions. So the next question is, how is the mapping of the accounts code done to follow Form CS? Will this be set up by RealTimme? Thank you for these questions. There are already preset mapping that we will update in the standard chart of accounts that you will be using, and we will not disturb your existing accounts. So what we do is that we will be conducting online training whereby we will teach users, our online videos will teach users how to map your accounts to the relevant data ID. They call it data ID. So this will be in the form of online videos, Q&A, FAQs, and if you need our help, I already mentioned just now that we will give you priority, special attention to assist you to make your first year filing successful. It is our interest that you, for the first 100 customers who come on board, we will make sure that you will do your first year's filing successful. So in a way, we will hold your hand to help you to map all the accounts code. I hope I answer your questions.
Any more questions from the audience? Any questions about the filing of Form CS through this seamless filing?
There's one more question from Marco Wedding Vegetable Food.
I got one question here. Do the 3 months GST filing first.
Yeah. Marco, do you want to explain or do you want to elaborate on this part here? Do the 3 months GST filing first?
I'll open the mic. Oh, okay. You can just say, I'll open the mic.
Yeah, you can speak now, Marco.
Marco, you can on your mic so that everybody can hear you.
So the system allowed us to do the 3-month GST filing. Thereafter, the data will be captured, and then thereafter we will do the full year business filing. Is that right? Because the financial year has passed, we have already done 3 quarters of GST filing already. End speech.
Okay, thanks for your elaborate of your questions. The GST filing is a separate matter. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ginger, that you can still continue to file. It is at the end of the year that forms part of your GST, your quarterly 4 quarters GST figure forms part of your whole year's filing.
Maybe Hong Peng, let me take this question.
Yeah.
Marco, I think GST is on a different subject. Here we are talking about year-end financial statements that companies do annually, filing to Accra on the annual return, and then the final year-end accounts where you do your tax computation, and you go into e-filing to you do your tax return. So this GST filing is separate. It's not covered within this webinar, but I understand where you're coming from. So what I will say is that for GST filing, I think probably there'll be a next round where GST will also be done doing GST filing seamlessly for all companies. I can see that is where maybe once we get through this annual filing and probably GST is already in the minds of IRAS. Maybe Ginger, not sure you have any wind of this coming, you know, that the community can benefit from this session, you know.
Okay, sorry,
I actually don't have information on that.
Okay, don't worry.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Never mind. Yeah.
I can add on to that. After this whole exercise of this seamless filing, RealTimme will be embarking on the Gst Seamless Filing. Yeah, so two things that is coming up next in the pipeline will be Gst Seamless Filing and the e-invoicing, which we will try to achieve it by end of this year. That's a good news, whereby RealTimme is really very forward looking into getting all these things available for our users. I hope we answer your questions, Marco. If not, then we can separately discuss this offline. Thank you.
Okay, just see. Got any more questions?
Any more questions from the floor?
Just maybe use the Q&A function. Just maybe see it, use the Q&A function to type your question.
Right. If you can click on the Q&A icon on your screen to type in your questions. Feel free to ask.
Yeah, feel free to ask
Ginger or Eddie.
Yeah, clear out your doubts, you know, that you have in your mind. And this is a very good opportunity where we have representatives from Accra and IRAS with us. You know, even if they cannot answer, probably they will get your emails across to them for to help you clear your doubts. You know, yeah.
I guess some of you will have these questions, but not really wanting to be the first one to ask this question. So let me be the first one to ask Eddie or Ginger. You know, this is the first time, in fact, in everybody's head, that this is the first time that I'm going to do this. And what happens if I make omissions or mistakes, which, you know, in the normal filing, I will still make mistakes. So what if I do the seamless filing, I do wrongly and I discover it later?
Okay, if it's for tax filing, all right, of course we have to investigate whether the error lies with the software or whether it's from the company lah. All right, if there's any error in the filing, of course you can do your revision. You can submit a revised tax computation to us, and we'll investigate and see what's the error from there.
Oh, so hopefully it's not from the software.
Hopefully.
Eddie?
Yeah. So I think similar to what Ginger said, we first have to determine the cause or the nature of why actually there's an error in the transaction in the filing record. And then from there, we have to determine the next steps lah. So if it's an actual mistake that the user made, then the normal process is to file the notice of error through our online portal. But if it's a software issue, then we will work with RealTimme to identify that issue and then to prevent that issue from happening for future cases lah. But as far as possible, I think for both agencies, we have put in controls to make sure that the information that you will be sending to IRAS or Accra is there as a preview before you say confirm you want to send this information to the two agencies lah. Yeah.
Maybe I would like to, you know, from the layman's point of view, right? Anyone dealing with computers, using the internet or using the Wi-Fi, okay? What happens at say the last hour when people are trying to do AR filing or tax form CS filing, and you know, hypothetically, if the internet fails you, the Wi-Fi fails you, you know, you cross midnight, will they? So how do we how do we mitigate this concern, as from the layman, that whether your filing gets through or does it get through. Usually you do a filing, you expect to see your acknowledgement from the various agency that, okay, I've successfully done my job. And just that this particular instance where there's a breakdown, all right, how do we, how, as a user, right, they'll be concerned of what do I get, will I, just because past 1-2 minutes, I get the penalty area, or, I mean, can you share with us, either Eddie or Ginger, whether
Actually,
is there a concern? Yeah.
whether or not you are using RealTimme Seamless Filing or you're doing your filing on my tax portal, we always advise company not to do it. At the last minute. Yes, on 15th of December, there's always, there could be errors, technical errors, Wi-Fi errors. So,
There could be a surge of users trying to get in the door. Yeah.
So I would say try to do your filing earlier to avoid having such technical difficulties at the very last minute.
Okay, let's say it's not the last minute. It could be doing your normal filing, 10 days before the deadline, right?
Okay.
And suddenly it gets dropped out, because I have experience where I do internet banking, and all of a sudden it just drops out. And what will the user do? Is there a record that you have done up to this stage?
That would be a software question that Mr. Chu can answer, right?
It could be a maybe Mr. Chu, yeah.
Yes, all these factors has been considered. In fact, they are very stringent and they are very particular, the both agencies, that they want to make sure that our software is able to store the last the record that you have entered. So meaning that there's a recovery function inside. So should there be any disruption, the next time you log in again, the information will still be there and you can continue from where you stop. Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think how we have approached this is to facilitate or to improve the user experience as far as possible. And how we are trying to work with the vendors is that we are encouraging them to have this safe draft feature in the software itself, such that I think disruption to work is minimized. So as far as possible, if there's any hiccups, interruptions in their connectivity, this safe draft feature acts as a safety net where, okay, it saves your last work performed so that you can resume your work and then file with the agencies. I think to answer Winston's question on how do you ensure your filing has been captured to Accra. So I think once the filing has been done, as always, whether it's through any accounting software or even on our portal, there will be the transaction number that you can query, and you can query on Accra's website to see on BizFile portal to see if the transaction has indeed been filed. So I think that's one way you can use to ensure that to check that you can to check whether your filing has been made or not. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. This will be, reassuring for the users to make sure that I've done my work halfway, and to try and find out whether I'm done or not done. Yeah. So this autosave function where Mr. Chu mentioned, I think will be very useful. It is a reassurance that our seamless filing project is also to protect the users, the providers, and the agencies. So I think we are there, right? Yeah.
Yes, we are there, definitely. And with regards to just now, you have another questions about whether the data gets incorrectly or not. There are a lot of validations that we have, or rather the two agencies has wanted us to put in to make sure that all the information put in are accurate in the sense that the debit and credit, all these things tallies, and then all the things reconcile properly before it gets submitted. So there are checks and balances built in to reduce the chances of users putting in the wrong information. But of course, at the point of the chart of accounts, it's very critical. So the ball is actually on our court to make sure that users put in the information correctly, right? So that is the first point where we will be consider the gatekeeper to ensure that users actually put in the linkage correctly, and thereon the validation kicks in to make sure that all the data sent are accurate, so that the source of any errors will be in the front. There won't be any point in time over the process that the errors can come from point A, point B, point C, point D. No. So the source problem will always be in the front, right? So it becomes very important that the chart accounts be set properly. And yeah, we know our responsibility over here, and we will assist our users to get this first year correctly, and subsequent years it should be a breeze for all users. Any more questions coming from the floor?
The floor, yeah.
Yeah, please. I think we have got what, 10 more minutes, 5 more minutes, 15 minutes, sorry.
15 minutes, yeah. We've got 15 minutes more to take on questions. Okay, if not, while waiting for the questions, I see this as an opportunity to educate our bookkeepers on what's allowable expenses and what is not allowable expenses, like for example, the private and commercial vehicles. So there may be a chance to educate our bookkeepers to get their data correctly, so that it helps this seamless filing. Am I right, Ginger? I can't hear you, Ginger.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I think bookkeepers have never, I mean, for so many years of accounting, I've never heard of any requirement for bookkeepers to be able to identify expenses that are allowable or disallowable. So going ahead, not only seamless filing, there's a lot of education process for the users of accounting systems, accounting software.
I mean, once they get the hang of it, of course, the submission will be a breeze, like what Mr. Chu has mentioned.
Yeah, everybody has, it's always the first time, Subsequently, once you are aware of it, you will do things more, do it correctly and more efficiently, rather than currently. I think most tax preparers spend a lot of time poring over numbers, going through the general ledger to try and identify the tax codes correctly.
Yeah, so once it's identified at source, then yeah, it makes the filing a lot simpler.
Yes, it makes your life and our life a lot easier. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. All right. So as what you mentioned there, is the amount of time spent by the tax professionals to look through all the line items, and that's the time spent will actually be translated
It's enormous, yeah.
Yeah. So it will be translated to the dollar and cents that you are going to charge out your time cost. So rather than getting all these things to push all the things back to the final point of preparing the tax, actually, if the bookkeepers or the person who is doing data entry be able to train them and get them to separate this item from the very beginning, can you imagine the amount of cost savings that the company is going to get? Like it or not, you cannot deny that each one of us is got to carry a lot more responsibility. Our job scope is increased from time to time, whereby we have to learn new things, we have to take on newer responsibilities, and we have to learn new things, so that it becomes one person, becomes 2 or 3 person work, like it or not. But it is a process that a learning journey that all of us has to go through, and that's where we actually spread the work across, and the cost savings would definitely be very obvious.
So I see this project as something like how to say, automation of the accounting industry. Not sure whether I correctly describe it.
I would say that it is going to be a game-changing event, because we can see that as we move on, the job scope, it becomes smaller, whereby each one of the professionals, they can concentrate on more value-added activities rather than looking through pages and pages of line items to dish out what is deductible, what is non-deductible. So on the positive side, this will actually adds value to everybody's work, and we are more efficient and productive in that sense.
So hopefully those in the audience will, as throughout this discussion, it's just not only the word seamless filing. Through these discussions, I think we have probably identified how we can do our work, or the community, the financial community, the business users are able to automate this process, right? Yeah. And imagine we've been doing this for so many years, so it's time to change. So don't be afraid of change. Come on board and be the first movers and experience this seamless journey, call it.
Yes, there'll be more seamless activities going on. Like I mentioned, the GST part, we are already signed up with them, and they have actually wanting us to quickly get this thing up in our software.
I don't see any more questions coming from the audience. Maybe they are either too shy to ask, or they don't know what is all this seamless filing about. But nevertheless, we're not saying that you should be asking the right questions. Even if your question is not correct, just throw out your questions and we'll try to attempt to get the panelists to clear your doubts. Don't be shy, just throw in your questions. Yeah. All right, we have about another 5 minutes more for question answer. Anyone? Or you can also wave your hand. There's I think there's a wave button, to say hi to Eddie.
Just say the moderator will unmute and then let you talk. Then you just raise your hand. I will see the hand, then I will unmute and then the person.
Oh, Eddie, you have anything to share with us on seamless filing? I think probably I talked too much. Yeah.
Nah, I think just to give a flavor on why the agencies moving towards civil has embarked on this project. I think it's because we have the intent of reducing compliance costs for the businesses here in Singapore, and I think we have thought out that this seamless filing initiative is one where it can achieve, I think, improve productivity from the company's point of view, as well as being able to reduce the compliance costs to each agency. I think Chu, Winston, Ginger has each pointed out that, yeah, you will be saving time. Yeah, the first year might be the year where you need to get used to the process, but I think over time it will definitely save a lot of time for the users who will be using the features in the accounting software lah. Yeah.
Thanks, Eddie. I also have a questions that wanting to know whether the scope of this filing will increase in the coming years, meaning that you know, the corporate secretary duty is more than just annual returns. There will be change, submission of change of directors, you know, change of activities. They have got lots of forms to fill in. I'm just wondering, would the scope of the corporate service providers be reduced over the years, and the whole thing would be be in the hands of the business owners where they can do it themselves? Do you have any idea, or can you review something that is in the pipeline? Or you cannot tell us now?
There's very little I can share, honestly. But I think this seamless filing initiative is just the first step. There will be more that I think the idea is that we want to reduce the compliance costs for the companies, and that I think this is just the first step towards that end goal. And as far as we know, there are many transactions that companies perform with Accra, and at each stage there can be ways to improve. Like there's always definite areas where we can improve and allow for integration to natural systems that the companies are using. I think that's the key to look at what softwares the companies are currently using, and then leveraging on existing technologies, be it APIs that we are leveraging on for this particular seamless filing initiative, and then to extend that to the other transactions that companies have with Accra. Yeah, that's the idea lah.
Thanks very much for that piece of information. I got you. I hear you loud and clear. And it looks like the responsibility of the software vendor becomes increased with the with the scope being widened. Do you see that coming?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
No. You see, now that we are putting in more requirements in the software, whereby all the changes that we need to submit going forward, would that mean that the responsibility of the software, or rather vendors like us, becomes greater? We take on more responsibility. Do you see that coming?
I don't think it's a case of more responsibility where it's whether each software vendor wants to incorporate the maybe future new APIs. If they want to, they can offer these services to their clients. But if not, then clients can always use the existing avenue of filing through the portal that we have. So I don't see that as one that would increase the responsibility of the software vendors, because it is still down to the companies themselves to use the services to file with the agencies. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Right.
Yeah, I think we are time. Do we want to extend for another question, or?
No. I think we have exactly now it's 3:30.
3:30. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there's any questions that is still in your mind, you can send it to webinar@realtimme.net.
Yeah. And I would like to sincerely thank all our participants for taking your valuable time to join us in this first maiden session of a webinar on this seamless filing. And I hope that you have gained a certain insight of what we are doing, what Hong Kong is doing, and what is expected of from the two agencies, Accra and IRAS. Put it this way, it's like everybody's driving a manual gear car, and then you shift to driving an automatic car. So we are actually in the path of having driverless everybody sitting in a driverless car that you know, let the autopilot takes over in this
Right.
seamless filing, right?
Agree.
Okay. Without ado, thank you everybody for joining, and hope you enjoy this session. And if you have any further questions, please write in to webinar@realtimme.net, and we'll be most happy to try and answer your questions or direct your questions to the agencies to clear your doubts. And thank you very much for thank you, Eddie and Ginger, for joining us in this, I mean, very fruitful discussion. All right.